Okay, let's fake sing. Oh, no, fake sing in tune.
Oh, okay. You made a way
when our backs were against the wall,
and it looked as if it was over. You. That was good.
That's nice. Don't do it.
Sweet. I mean, when I can't find myself.
Yeah, so welcome. Today's guest to this very comfortable conversation is Faye. Faye and I have been friends for many, many years. I guess I do love her, but yeah, I just brought her on here today as my first guest because I feel like everyone's opinion, everyone's experiences are valuable, and that is the essence of what these kind of videos are going to be about. So, Faye, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who are you? You know what you do.
Well, I am a dreamer. I am an artist. I am a human that has a big imagination. I do art. I sing sometimes. I songwrite. I produce.
A lot.
My credentials go on.
They do.
Possible filmmaker in the future. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to say voice over actor, but
It's not happened yet.
No.
Yeah.
I'm very good at doing a posh accent sometimes. And a friend to Priscilla.
Let's get like a vote for the
eczema, asthma, nut allergy dogs and cats, motion sickness.
That's not funny. I don't know why I laughed. She just likes to list them so that you're all aware of her situations. Okay. Well, since you've actually mentioned quite a few things that I think are interesting, we're going to start with dyslexia. How do we feel? How do you feel about us beginning there?
I'm good.
Yeah?
I'm good.
So, Faye is going to explain when and how she found out she was dyslexic, and then we'll just go into it from that.
So, do you want a long story or a short story?
You give whatever story you want to give.
Okay, the long story is about 20 minutes.
That's alright, let's go.
I'll power through it. So, I came out the womb being autistic. I feel like since I was like probably, I was always a slow person. Not slow, but as in like I was slow to read, I was slow to learn how to write and everything else and comprehend certain things. I remember like being in reception and I'll be behind in class and always falling asleep with people. My teachers think I was lazy, but really I had like dyslexia and no one knew it. I started reading at the age of like nearly 10.
Wow.
Yeah, so everyone else was reading like 7, 6, I started reading at 9.
Yeah.
Because I found it so hard to read, and I remember I used to come home and I was like in year 2 doing the spelling test. It'll take about like 6 hours for me to like learn how to spell probably like 5 words.
Yeah.
So yeah, my mum had to like really fight for me to get diagnosed with dyslexia. And then we got diagnosed. I was like, okay, I'm dyslexic. I'm not stupid.
What age was that when you were diagnosed?
I think it was in secondary school. It was like 15. No, 14. 14, 15. And I got extra time. But I was like, I kind of always felt like a bit of a late bloomer.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that like my answers were answered and I got diagnosed with dyslexia. And I was like, okay, I do have something wrong, like just like processing, like I need a bit more time, but there's nothing like detrimental that is going to affect me really like a lot in the future. So I think I'm glad people are now getting like this diagnosed with dyslexia and people find out dyslexia because they're like, okay, I know how to deal with it now and how to maneuver and how to articulate myself and the things that will help me like progress forward. So
would you say that like being from anyway, you guys can try and guess where she's from. It'll probably take you about 4 years. But Faith is Caribbean and Indian. So, in that culture, do you think that it affected, one, when you were diagnosed, and two, how your mum may have dealt with you being diagnosed with it?
Okay. I'm not sure if I can speak completely on it because I feel like within both my cultures, I haven't really experienced the full entirety of both cultures. I've only skimmed the surface of it. And that's just like from both my families, I haven't really like gone in depth like on my Indian culture and my Jamaican culture.
Yeah.
But I do feel like a lot of times, if people do have maybe disabilities, we don't always talk about it a lot within both of our cultures. And that kind of links with mental health sometimes a little bit, but I'm not going to go into that. But I feel like when a lot of our kids do have disabilities, I mean now we're like more like aware of it and being like, let's get diagnosed, let's find the signs up. But like back when I was like probably 4, 6, we didn't really like.
It was a taboo.
Yeah, and like people don't really just thought, oh, that's lazy, or like they're fine. They'll learn later in life, but I think it is a bit of like a blind issue.
Yeah.
Back then, people were like, oh, it's fine. Like the person will grow out of it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad now that some people are getting to terms with still learning, but don't get me wrong. There's still like parts of in our culture people are like, oh, like it's fine. Like it's just laziness when it's really not. It's just a disability. A lot of people now are being diagnosed with ADHD and everything else, and people thought they were just like too hype or something wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm glad now, like within our culture, like people are making the effort to push the boundaries, to be like, okay, let's get diagnosed, let's find out what it is.
And I know you said you wouldn't touch on it, but now we're going to touch on it because you said that. So, in terms of what you're saying, how like, you know, in the past it was more of a taboo, more of a blind spot, would you say there has been a big improvement, maybe even for yourself personally, in how you see, let's say, aunties and uncles or the African or Caribbean community or Asian community, just ethnic minorities, in terms of how they view these sort of things like ADHD, dyslexia?
Well, I was raised in church, and a lot of I don't know if this is more within African churches, but also this was also Jamaican churches, because I was raised in a Jamaican Pentecostal church. I remember people, I don't know if it was a joke, but people were like saying it was a spirit, like ADHD, which is stupid.
They weren't joking. I can tell you that for free. They weren't joking.
Don't get me wrong, prayer is
key.
Is a good key. But I think prayer plus action goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
So I think that back then people were like, oh, let's
just
pray.
Deliverance.
Let's pray it out, man.
But
I think now, especially since my generation have grown up more, we're able to educate our elders and be like, hey, I understand you come from the area of prayer and everything else, but also see this different perspective of how we can pray and also still do action with it, and try and see what the issue is, or even if it's bigger than ADHD or something else, or autism, etc., etc. We can like find ways where we can find what it is, diagnose it, find triggers for it, like maybe like get therapy to try and unlearn like harmful ways that we've hidden away those disabilities in our community. I think also my mum was a pretty much open person, so she was, because my mum,
we love you, Auntie Sandy.
Sorry.
It's okay, you're not kicked up.
So our uncle is autistic, so she grew up with our uncle. Well, so it was 4 children. My mum was the second oldest, and my uncle is the youngest, but he's autistic. So he was born with the umbilical cord wrapped around his throat. So like my mum grew up with looking after my uncle, and my grandma was a nurse. She worked in the psychiatric ward. So our family, my mum's side, was pretty open to like being aware of autism and ADHD. Not so much dyslexia, because back then it was like, what is dyslexia? But I think on my dad's side, not so much. open to like find out or understand ADHD or etc. etc. Like I found out recently my cousin was diagnosed with ADHD like a couple years ago, and my family back then thought he was just he's just ramping around, just like being feisty and everything else. When really he had ADHD, I'm diagnosed, and now that I see that he told me that, I was like, oh, okay, like because I remember like he used to be like, yeah, like I'm not there, but like just seeing like how my aunties and my uncles would be frustrated with him, not realizing this undiagnosed. So, in conclusion to what I said, I'm glad that our generation now is going up trying to educate our elders and be like, this is what I have.
So what would you say would have been like your toughest point during school, like when you realised or found out you were dyslexic? Like, do you feel like your mental health was better before you found out or after you found out? How would you describe that experience?
I think in my mental health was better after I found out, because I felt so stupid. I was the person in French class or maths class to get 0 out of 10, and then when you just read it out loud to class, be like, oh, this person, Sarah, you got like 8 out of 10, good job, and then it gets me to be like, oh, have you got 0? And I'll be like, and everyone will be laughing, but not laughing, but like making like funny comments, and I'll be like, it's very funny. But like when I found out as a dyslexic, I was like, okay, I can now tell people, listen, I have dyslexia, it takes me a bit longer to understand things than you guys will understand it. But I think my mental health hasn't really been that bad growing up, but like, I think it's just like the feeling of like, there's people talking behind your back, oh, like this person is stupid, or like, oh, she doesn't understand anything, she can't articulate herself. But I always kind of felt like when to my back, people will be not whispering, but like whispering behind my back, saying, this person can't spell this.
No, I get you.
So I think back then I was very conscious about what I say. That's why I was very quiet as a child, because I didn't really speak my mind. Like, I think I only started speaking probably when I left secondary school. No, when I was I would say probably when I went to uni, that's when I started speaking my mind. I was very quiet.
She was.
I was
so quiet.
Very quiet secondary
school. And the 2 words she would say would always be so weird. I was like, who is this girl?
I was really quiet. Bit people. At one point, I
licked people.
We're not gonna get into that. That was a weird time in my life, but I was quiet. But I was quiet mainly not because of how I want to be quiet, but because I was conscious of what people think about me. People think I was dumb.
And did you feel under pressure to like articulate yourself almost perfectly when you were speaking? So you just thought, I'd rather just not speak then, if I might flop.
Especially in English class, like for example, like when we read it, like the
read
books.
out loud,
I remember I used to go home and like read the night before, like read, so that when I go to like the next day, I wouldn't be like stumbling. People would be like laughing. But also people in our class who were stumbled and who were laughed at. Not going to say names, but I always used to be like, in my head, like, I understand, but I never said anything. But I was like, I get it, I understand. So
what would you say to those people now who are stumbling on their words when they're reading a lesson, or they're struggling to articulate themselves? What would you encourage them by saying?
I think it's so much easier for me to say it from the perspective of me now, because I'm not in that classroom. But in that classroom, it's really daunting. When you're in, like, reading in front of people, like, all you think about is, I just want to melt into the sea and evaporate right now. But I would just say is that try and have tunnel vision. Sometimes tunnel vision is good. Sometimes it's not always good because you get blocked out everything else. But sometimes just focus on, like, have a blank mind. Focus on your thoughts. Because if you think too much what other people's opinions are of you, or what they might say, even though they may not have said it yet, you're just going to spiral, and it's going to melt into the atmosphere and just vanish. So I would say just try and have tunnel vision and just be like, okay, so-and-so, whatever your name is, I need to calm down. This person may think this of me, but you know what? I'm thinking highly of myself. I know that I'm not stupid. If I have disability or not, you know, like I'm pace. I'm a late bloomer. Even late bloomers bloom. So
They still bloom.
So
They still bloom.
you know, it's go at your own pace.
Yeah.
Don't rush.
No,
Because
definitely.
people are rushing you, or you feel you're being rushed.
Yeah. No, I think that's beautiful. And I think one thing we have to be reminded of is, you know, we're fearfully and wonderfully made. Like, God made every single one of us, you know, in his likeness. He made us with intention and he made us with his perfection. So when Faith is saying things like, you know, slow or dumb, etc., it's in comparison to other people, isn't it? Because if Faith had her own standard to her life, as we all should, if we all had our own standard, which is, you know, God's standard, he's made me this way, I'm in my own lane, let me flourish in that, then growing up, you know, you wouldn't have seen yourself as behind. And I guess now for our community, it is a place where, yes, you can view yourself behind in comparison to others, but it's what do you do for yourself in that moment? Do you ignore that we have diagnoses for ADHD and dyslexia and autism and all these different learning disabilities, or do you learn about them and see how it can help you? You know?
I was going to say also, it's really important. I know parents are our first role model of how humans act in our world. It's really important to have a parent who is encouraging you. So I'm sorry. Should keep talking.
Yes, keep talking.
I'm a single parent child, and my mum was very supportive of me. I remember I used to come home crying sometimes when I like after secondary school, not really primary school, after secondary school, after feeling just like dumb.
Yeah.
Of being like scared to articulate, and mum was like, "It's okay," because she was bullied herself, so she understood from that perspective. But that was more for race, because back in the 80s, anyway.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to have a supportive parent behind you, so when your child comes home crying or just numb or not say anything, your parent can look at you and be like, "I see you, I understand you, I get you." So I think also for those kids who are in school or not in school, if you don't have that parent role model, there's other mentors you may find, maybe teachers. I know not all teachers are great. Some teachers will pull you down and dash you to the side. But there might be that one teacher who is great to you and who encourages you. Talk to them.
Yeah.
Or a youth leader or church, or an auntie or uncle, or a friend, one of your friend's older siblings who is nurturing, encouraging. Like, there's always someone. Yeah.
What would you say like a supportive parent looks like, or just a supportive person?
I would say they're not always trying to button to like. They're not always trying to button to what you're saying. They allow you to give you time to talk and express yourself, your feelings. They hear you out. They don't just like let go through one and other. They're taking what you're saying and be like, okay, even though I may not be able to help you, I'm here for you. I love you. I'm going to support you the best way I can. If they have solutions, great. All the merrier. If they don't, let them like take everything in.
Yeah.
Not but you, let you get everything out or you got to get out, and be like, I'm here for you. Because all you need is just someone just saying, I'm here for you. Because being present in the moment is the most beautiful gift someone can give someone. Being present and there and listening and watching and looking.
Beautiful. Wow, that was Faith Melody Ramautar, my very talented friend. And I would just like to say thank you, first of all, for being my first guest. She is one of the closest friends I've had in my lifetime, and she's not going anywhere. You know, even hearing her talk about how articulate, you know, she used to not think she was, or the struggle she was having. I obviously have seen the transition and the growth, but I can say with my whole heart that I'm so proud of where she is right now, because she's one of the most understanding people in my life. And yeah, I really value her. I really value her. So yeah, I'm going to put her socials in the next slide. This beautiful headpiece was made by her, and you will see more content on that coming soon. But in terms of this conversation on, dyslexia, mental health, the Afro-Caribbean, Asian community and our taboos. Let's keep it going. Let me know what you guys thought of this video and feel free to message any of us any questions. Why?
Join us next time.
Hold on. Imagine if it didn't record. Imagine.
It would be oh, that's a big slap. You could hear it.
Yes, it recorded.